Welcome to Dorset. Today we're at Cut Mill and we're trying something new. Great to see you all again, guys. Thanks so much for joining me. Today we've come down to the wonderful Cut Mill, and there's a reason I'm here. Today it's going to be around 2 years since I first started on YouTube, and this was the very first place I visited. And to be fair, it didn't go as planned, and I thought I'd come down and try something a little bit new. But before we go into all of that, a little bit of housekeeping. I just want to say thank you so much for every single one of you who subscribed, and especially to all the recent subscribers that have come over from Gary Norman. Gary's an absolutely amazing photographer, such a great bloke. He did an interview with me recently, and the subscribers did rock it up. So Gary, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Please do go and check out Gary's channel. As I say, he's such a lovely guy, really trying to help out YouTubers who are pretty new to it, don't have much of a following, and you know, really helping out. So thanks very much, and welcome to all the people who came over from his channel. Okay, so the reason that we're here at Cut Mill today is, as I say, it's about 2 years since I actually joined YouTube, and I wanted to come back to somewhere that I'd sort of been before. And you know, the original video was pretty horrendous, if I'm honest. It was you know, all a learning curve back then, and you know, lots of things didn't go according to plan, but you know, it's how it all started. And despite the fact I've been on YouTube for about 2 years, I've only really put about a year's worth of videos out because there was a lockdown and we couldn't go out. So yeah, it just seemed a fitting thing to come back here. Also, there's something I've been wanting to try for absolutely ages. Now, we've got a very windy day here today. The winds on the coast are about 40 miles an hour, so it's really hacking in. So I've tried to come inland a little bit to get somewhere that's a little bit sheltered, and believe me, there's not much shelter here. But the situation we've got is obviously all of the trees are really moving behind on the mill here. And I want to make sure I capture those with a very fast shutter speed, so I don't get any movement in those trees. So that's one problem. The next problem is, as the water's coming in, it's quite high at the moment, and we've got all of this beautiful sort of froth coming off the water, and it's presenting these nice white lines. So it's just crying out for a long exposure. The big problem I've got is if I do a long exposure, I'm going to get all the movement in the trees, and I really don't want that, as I said. So what I'm going to try and do is do 2 shots. I'm going to first of all get a nice shot with all the trees, you know, shot at something like 1/25 of a second, so they're nice and you know, movement free. Then I'm going to do a long exposure, so I get the water all sort of blurred, and maybe do that for about 2 seconds. And then I'm going to try and blend the two together in post. Don't know if it works. It might be a total disaster, but I'm willing to give it a go because, you know, that's what photography is all about: experimenting, trying new things. So yeah, we'll see how we get on with that. That's the plan anyway. I'd love to be able to do my usual favourite panorama today, but again, with this you know, tree movement that's going on, the images aren't really going to stack up well together, so I've decided not to bother with that one. But you know, if the wind does drop later on, I might well do it. Now, the other thing I wanted to touch on this one is the fact that we're shooting side light again today. Now, I did mention in previous episodes about shooting side light and shooting sort of daytime, and it's around about 3-4 o'clock sort of time whilst I'm shooting this here. And what I've noticed is there's been this pattern where the sunrise is very poor, the sunset's very poor, but during the day, there's some great cloud around. So I thought, well, I'm not going to waste it. I'm going to come out and I'm going to do a day visit and just see if I can get some decent, you know, sort of shots from that. Now, with the side light, you can see the mill is absolutely glowing up, and it really does look fantastic because you've got this very contrasting scene. You've got a bright red, very vibrant mill there, and then you've got all of the foliage all around it, and it gives a really, really different dynamic on it. Plus, if you can get a reflection in the water, it really does look even sort of better with that as well. So yeah, it's one I'm keen to try and see if I can get a nice picture of it anyway. It's not ideal. I would love to have sort of nice dark moody cloud behind it. That would be the ideal scenario, but you know, we don't always get what we want, so we have to make do with what we can have. But there is some nice side light coming on there. It's on there right now, so it's looking good. So hopefully, you know, we're going to nail a couple of shots. Now this mill, it's been through the mill, you could say. It's a little bit on the dilapidated side, as you can see. It survived all sorts of things. It's been set on fire. Obviously all the roof and everything has collapsed. And unfortunately, some little oik has decided to put graffiti all over it. So it's not looking its best, to be fair. Now, usually if I come down here, the reeds are all up high and they'll actually obscure that graffiti out if you get low enough. But the reeds have just all been cut, and typically they've all been washed downstream as well. So there's no getting away from it. That graffiti is going to have to be in the shot, but what we'll try and do in post is maybe desaturate the colours that are in that particular area and see if we can just dull it down a fraction. It's going to be in there, not a lot I can do about it. Unfortunately, people have ruined it, and there's very little we can do, but we're going to try our best to still nail a reasonable shot out of this. Now, I'm not entirely sure whether I'm going to wait down here for the sunset or not, but at the moment, as I say, the side light is looking really, really nice, and I feel, confident that I've already got a reasonable shot out of that. It's not going to be as dramatic as a good sunset, but I do love shooting light, and when you've got a nice glaring sort of bit of light on there, because it's sort of autumn time, it's quite low in the sky, so it gives it a nice sort of softer tone as well. It's not like summer light where it's really, really harsh, goes on your subject, and it's just too much. But it's a lot of dappled light. It's coming in and out, so we'll see how we get on, and hopefully we're going to nail something. I'm also quite keen to put the drone up and try and get a few shots with a drone, because I've never really done that down here, and it should offer a different dynamic. But I have had a little run-in with someone who lives down here already. They've come out, insisted that I was photographing their house. Obviously I wasn't. It's the last thing I want in the shot. Someone who knew the law, as they all do, so that's been an interesting one. But I've put the drone down for the time being, because I don't particularly want a confrontation with an ignorant person again, so I'm just going to drop it for the time being. But yeah, it should be an interesting day. Hopefully we're going to get something out of it. Now, one thing I often see with this shot is when people take it, they cut the tree off at the top, and it always looks really, really awkward in the picture, I think. I always suggest to people, and I do bring people down here occasionally for workshops, and we always talk about the composition. We do something called edge patrol, where you compose your shot, and then you run your finger around the edge of the frame, and you just make sure there's nothing protruding, nothing sort of coming into the shot, or nothing that's just being cut off on the shot. And it's a really valuable thing to do. It takes 2 seconds and it becomes second nature after a while, but it really does look nice when you've got that tree all the way in there. So I'm trying not to cut that off, and I'm shooting on the 24-105 at the moment. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to use a fair bit of polarization to try and get this reflection that we've got in the water. And with the wide angle, the 15-35, if you over polarize on there, it really does show, and it's the big sort of U at the top where it's all dark, and it's really not what we want for the shot. So trying to stick with a 24-105 on this one. The focal lengths will vary on here, but as long as I can get the mill and the weir and this tree in, I'm pretty happy. That's going to be my composition. Not going to be loads and loads of different shots today. It's all going to be very, very similar. Maybe some different levels of light as the light changes during the day, but pretty much that's going to be the shot. The only difference is going to hopefully be this long exposure mixed in with a standard exposure, and I'm really hopeful that that might work. If it doesn't, it doesn't, but I'll stick it up at the end if it does. A point that I really did want to get across in this video is the difference that light makes, and what I'll do, I'll try and stick an image up when there was no light and an image when there was light, and just kind of fade in and out of it, so you can sort of see the difference that it makes to this shot. Now obviously without light it's really quite a dead shot, but with light it really does give it that boost and everything comes alive in it. So it really is worth persevering and waiting for those moments of light. One thing I did want to mention while you guys are here is apologies for the little delay in being back. I try and put a video out every 2 weeks, but at the moment I've been absolutely inundated with workshops, so I just haven't been able to do one. There's just been no time to get out. I've just been too busy, so it is really, really worth it. There's a little notification bell. If you hit that, that will let you know when I put a video out, so you shouldn't ever miss one. They are going to be a little bit infrequent at the moment, but you know, needs must. We've all got to earn some money, and you know, I can't always do these as much as I love to. There isn't always the time to do it, so yeah, please do hit that notification bell, and it will just keep you in touch with the channel, let you know when something's out. Well, I hope you've enjoyed today's visit to Cut Mill, and I hope you like the images. I'm going to stick them all up in a second, and you can let me know what you think in the comments. If you have enjoyed it, please do hit that like button. I really do appreciate it, and it really does help the video to get out. And if you're not a subscriber, please do consider subscribing. There's loads more content to come, and I'd be so pleased to have you on board. Thanks everyone, take care, see you next time.